Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Lenny Cosplay and Crafts. Today I'm going to show you how to make your very own fabric mask. So let's get started with the materials you'll need. For starters, you want to start off with what type of fabric you're going to use. Today I'll be using a custom painted tie-dye cotton muslin fabric, and it looks like this. I cut out the pattern into two separate pieces of the front face fabric. For the lining of the mask material, I used just a plain off-white cotton fabric. Again, another two separate pieces. So in total for this project, you'll need 4 separate pieces of fabric. Make sure that they're all the same size. Next, you want to use either elastic, bias tape, or ribbon ties for the ear straps. I have a thinner piece of elastic to use for the ear straps on each side of the mask, and this is approximately 7 inches long. So this mask is in between a youth like child size and adult small size. Again, this was a custom order for a customer, so I was able to come up with a unique size and kind of cater to them on what exactly they wanted their mask to be like. So now that we have our materials gathered up, I'm going to show you how to sew it together. Before we sew this mask completely together, I did leave out a really cool, important, unique piece to this customized mask, and I have it cut out in the mask shape. I don't know if any of you can guess what this is, but this is actually a material called interfacing, and this was by, again, the request from the customer to put this into the mask itself. So I'm going to use this interfacing material and sew it into the cotton fabric in the inside lining of the mask itself. And the interfacing is a super lightweight material which is really used in sewing with apparel to kind of stiffen up a really flowy type of material. The purpose of this interfacing material in the mask, I'm using it to act like a lightweight built-in filter or an extra layer of fabric for this customized fabric face mask that we will be making today. The cool thing about this is, since it is going to be sewn into the mask, you don't have to replace it. The mask itself, along with the interfacing, is going to be strictly hand washed and air dried only, so that we're not damaging the interface material or the cotton material with the hand painted tie-dye as well. All right, now that we're in position and ready to sew, let's get started. Today I'm using my Singer portable sewing machine. Don't laugh at me. Yes, I do sew many masks on a portable sewing machine, and I also am working on cosplay apparels on my portable Singer sewing machine, and it is working great. So yes, this is what I'm working with, and hey, it works for me. Maybe it works for you guys, maybe it doesn't, but I'm totally cool with it. So let's get started. All right, so for starters, you want to do, I mean, you could either do the inside of the mask or the front of the mask first, it doesn't matter. So what I would like to do is you get your 2 pieces for the front mask, and what I always say is pretty side inside. So you want to make sure that you have these 2 pieces right on top of each other, making sure that the pretty side of the mask is on the inside. Okay, make sure it is perfectly aligned or aligned with the other piece of the fabric to the best of your ability. And then we're going to get it lined up in the sewing machine. You put your pressure foot down, get your needle in there and ready to begin to sew. And here we go. All right, so now that we completed finishing the first part of the mask, we just finished sewing the front face of this mask. So it should look something like this. You want to open up the inside of the mask to check to see if you happen to have a little opening here, any hole, or if you do have visible stitches. If you want to just go over that, touch up, this is the time to do that before we sew up the mask entirely. So once you've checked your mask completely, you can just go ahead, fold it back like this, pretty side inside. We're going to begin preparing to sew the lining of the mask. And just a little important tip, if the lining of the mask itself has no patterns to it, then you really don't have to worry about which side goes on top, because it's the same. Since I'm incorporating the interfacing material, I want to always sew that in with the lining part of the mask. And there we go. I like to leave a little excess of the interfacing material over the lining of the mask, just so that I get the interface material to cover the lining of the mask completely. So you see how it goes over a little bit? That's what I'm looking for. And you put one piece of the interfacing fabric on top of the exposed part of the lining of the mask, and then you would do the same for the opposite side. Just be really careful that you're not messing up the lining of the lining part of the mask itself, if that makes any sense. And it should look, and it should look something like this, kind of like a fabric sandwich. So you want the interface pieces on the outside of the actual cotton lining material, and you're going to sew all 4 pieces of the material together in one straight shot. All right, let's do this. Now that we have the interface material and the inner lining of the mask completely sewn together, it should look something like this. All 4 pieces completely aligned and sewn together. I did trim off some of the edges of the interfacing that was a little too long. Now remember, you always want to check the inside of your mask to make sure that you didn't miss any spots or there's no exposed stitches. Make sure that your interface lining is also sewn tightly together. The next step, we're going to apply 2 and 2 pieces together, meaning the front and the back of the mask pieces together. And how you want to do this is, I always start off with the front of the mask. I opened it gently inside out like so. And then I get the lining of the mask. Same type of method, gently open that up a bit. Again, you want the pretty sides inside, and I align them beginning at the tip or the nose of the mask. Look at that. Just like that. Then you want to align whatever side you want to start on first, either the right or the left side of the masks. If the interfacing is a little too long, don't worry about getting that perfectly aligned with the two pieces of fabric. That's fine. You can always do a little trimming at the end and make sure they look like that. All right, let's get this aligned in the sewing machine, and then we're going to sew one side of the mask. Pressure further down. Make sure that mask is aligned, looks good, and drop that needle. Now that we have one side of the mask completely sewn together, it should look something like this. Make sure you want to double check all of the edges of both sides of the mask. You want to make sure that you didn't miss any spots. Another easy way to check before you move on to the opposite side of the mask, you just fold it gently inside out and check for any exposed seams and any holes that you might have to go over. Looks like we're all good here. Let's move on to the next side. Again, we want to have both sides aligned. Looking good. All right. Side is completely sewn. Let's double check, see how we did. Oops, I can already see that I have, uh-oh. See, that's what happens. But have no fear, we're gonna tweak that up right now. It happens to me too. No biggie. All right, we patched that up pretty good. Now we can just quickly trim up a little bit more of that interface material or any excess of that cotton fabric if it's not perfectly aligned. But don't trim down the edges too much to where you're really close to the thread, because then you might jeopardize that mask staying completely together. So it's okay to leave like a little bit of an edge like that. That's perfectly normal. Just gonna do a little cleaning up here, just so the mask is a little less bulkier on the edges. Okay, now that we have that trimmed up, let us again triple check any holes. I think we're good. Let's turn it inside out. Oh wow, you can begin to see the mask actually coming together, and that's really exciting because it's a really cool design. Super happy with that, how that turned out. And this is a great time to actually double check again for any holes and exposed seams. All right, so you kind of want to like really spread out all the fabric, best of your ability. And I just get a little rounded object to really push out those corners pretty good. Okay, yeah. It's pretty funky, pretty cool. All right, now we're gonna sew the bottom piece, and then we just need to add straps, and then we're done. So here's how I do the bottom. Really tough to get it super aligned evenly on both the bottom and the top. So I like to start with folding the bottom really little bit, not even an inch, not even half an inch, literally like a quarter of an inch. Another good method to how to align both pieces of the fabric perfectly straight on the bottom is kind of just putting your thumb or your fingertip in the bottom crease here and kind of rolling out both pieces, the front and the back, ever so lightly, and just getting a feel of, okay, is that aligned? Is anything exposed? That type of thing. And then I kind of just pinch the side. I do one side at a time. I don't do the whole strip because I don't want it to unravel. But another way to do that is just use your pins, and you can pin it down, whatever works best for you. I use my little pinch and crease method, and I work one side at a time. So it should be straight like that from the corner to right in the middle, and then I just kind of move on through to the other side doing the same method. So let's get this finished up. Bottom completely sewn. I did leave the stitches exposed, and I left a little bit of the bottom part exposed as well. This is actually, if it fits the face perfectly, the bottom piece with the exposed stitches won't be visible, as it's going to sit just under the chin area there. All right, let's get ready to add on those ear straps, and we're done. I do one strap at a time. I did mean to note to you guys, I'm using black thread for the bobbin and the top as well. You can use any colors you want if you wanted to do plain black or white, or if you wanted to match the fabric on both different sides, you can totally do that. I'm using just standard black thread for this time. So what you want to do, make sure that the fabric is completely smoothed out, and then you kind of do an eyeball measure, or if you're really precise, again, you can use your pins. I just have a really tough time pinning down the elastic and then sewing right over it, but completely up to you guys. I'm doing about a quarter of an inch of the elastic into the actual fabric itself, and then I try to sew really close to the edge of the mask so that it doesn't you know, take up too much of the mask itself. And I do go over this each end piece of the elastic multiple times individually, and then I go through the mask in one straight motion back and forth over itself about 5 to 6 times. So just a little tip for you guys when you are sewing on your ear straps. Let's get this going. Successfully attached one elastic ear strap to one side of our mask. There we go. Check that out. Now, just to double check the elastic, what I always do is the stretch test. So I hold down one end piece of the elastic, give it a good old stretch, not too hard because I don't want to overstretch the elastic. But I want to make sure that the elastic straps were securely stitched in. Looks like they're holding in there pretty tightly. All right, let's finish up this mask. One more side to go. Let's go. Excellent. We are done. Oh yeah. Check it out. How cool is that, guys? It looks awesome, and I think the customer is going to be super happy with this custom tie-dye mask made exclusively just for them. We added elastic ear straps, and we also added the interfacing material on the inside of this mask. I'm really happy with the results. I can't wait to see the reaction. And yeah, so I hope this video was super helpful for all of you. If you do have any questions at all, please feel free to comment below. You can message me directly. Definitely reach out to me on Instagram too if you follow me on my Instagram account, which is @LennyCosplay. Thank you so much for watching. It means the world to me. If you really enjoyed this video, please give me a huge thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'd love to show you more things and get crafty with all of you. So like, subscribe, and thank you so much for your support. Thank you for watching. Happy crafting.